Hello, welcome to the Hockey Show, post-game edition. My name is Roy Bellamy. David Jork is to my right. He writes for the Hockey News, and Rosie Arias is our lead producer. We are just getting out of Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final between the Panthers and Oilers.
We're
Panthers
literally out of Game 4.
Yeah.
literally
We're
outside
outside
of the
the
arena.
arena.
Literally.
On top of the arena.
Yeah, we are on a patio outside of a terrace outside of the Ox Box, and this one was one for the books. I'll tell you that right now. The Panthers got out to a 3-0 lead at the end of one, and it looked like they were about to play the Oilers out of the building, but the Oilers stormed back for 4 unanswered goals until it was finally answered by Sam Reinhart with 19 seconds left in regulation. But Leon Draisaitl ended things in overtime. This one hurt. It absolutely hurt. Let's start with the first period. When we realized that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce was going to be in attendance, that really got Rosie's.
Yeah, it got me excited. I went looking
goosebumps.
for them, and they were not sitting on their seats. So when I tried to look for them, I couldn't find them until David found them. Yeah.
Hey, we
Win for David.
we know what's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Panthers, we're going to actually talk about hockey here. The Panthers just,
I had to get my binoculars back was the only thing, really.
yeah, I hope you, I mean, she probably put in her pocket. She probably still has it.
But she did take off with them at one point on a...
Yeah, I did. I did take off for them at one point.
Sure did. The Panthers started shelling the Edmonton Oilers. It looked like the Oilers did not show up at all in the first period, and the Panthers got out to that 3-0 lead. 2 power play goals, both by Matthew Tkachuk, and it really did look good at the beginning of this one.
Yeah.
And a bad turnover towards the end of the first period with Troy Stetcher, who replaced John Klingberg, who did not play well in Game 3. That was a bad turnover by Stetcher. And Connor McDavid was able to get that pass off to Anton Lundell in the slot, and the Oilers just did not play well in the first period as they went into the intermission down 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, the 2 power play goals from Matthew Tkachuk were huge, and then you've got the Panthers goal with the forecheck forcing a turnover for Hagee. Tenacity in there forces it on Stetcher, who, as you said, was replacing Klingberg. I'm sure Chris Knobloch didn't feel too great in that moment. A great finish by Anton Lundell. If he would have had 2 great finishes tonight, perhaps the game would have ended a little bit differently. But it was a great first period for Florida. Outshot the Oilers 17-7 and really appeared to be in the driver's seat after the way that they had dominated Game 3. And then what a start to Game 4.
The shot attempts were in Florida's favor at the end of one, 34-15. Scoring chances 21-5. High danger chances 12-2 in favor of the Panthers. That was mostly because of the power plays that they had in the first period. In the second period, it was the complete opposite.
Yep.
Yeah.
Edmonton couldn't get out of the box in the first period. Florida couldn't get out of the box in the second period. The Oilers just kept coming. It was crazy that when you think about it, that they came back from a 3-0 deficit. But when it happened, it felt very normal to me. Like they scored again. Here it comes. I would have been more surprised in those moments if Florida would have started building on the lead. It felt like all the momentum had gone to Edmonton's side. It was such a strange feeling. I don't know if you guys shared that with me, but as Edmonton came back, it just felt very like, yeah, this is what's supposed to happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was Florida doing Florida. They give us a lot, then they put us in a position where we were nervous, and then they might deliver. We don't know because the series is not over. But in my experience of what I've known of the Florida Panthers, they always do this.
Oh, wow. They always do this.
Yeah, they keep us in our toes, bro. They're like, don't.
They like the
don't.
drama.
They love the drama.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a complete flip in the second period. It was like how the Panthers played in the first, exactly. The Oilers, 30 shot attempts to 15, and they caught up on the shot attempts. Shots on goal, 17-10.
Yeah.
And it ended up being 27-24 total after second period in favor of the Panthers. And the high danger chances in this situation, 13-3 in the second period in favor of Edmonton. So that's just like that, just a complete switch between. It was a tale of 2 periods, as they say.
Yep. Yeah, that's what Paul Maurice said after the game too. The 2 periods were kind of mirror images of one another in terms of how one team was able to dominate the other. Each team got off 17 shots and scored 3 goals in their dominant period. It's as we've seen this series. There's so much of it is even hockey. These teams are very evenly matched.
Sure.
And I mean, if you were, to ask me right now what's going to happen over these next 3 games, I have no idea. It's very close, and it comes down to every little thing. Like any little crazy bounce could change a series.
Yeah. The third period was not like the first or second. Like you said, the margin of error was very slim, and that's exactly what it was in this third period. Both teams got a goal off. And in this third period, it started with the Oilers. I mean, it was bad. It was a bad pass. The Panthers turned the puck over, and all of a sudden, there was a wide open Jake Wallman. I mean, there was nobody around him in that faceoff circle. His stick was up. In fact, I think he may have banged it on the ice. He was so wide open. And a one-timer went past Sergei Bobrovsky, and that gave the Oilers the lead. That was just sloppy by the Panthers on that possession.
It's rough. It's rough. I mean, credit to Jake Wallman. He walked right into that shot, stepped into it, boom, blasted it past Bob's glove. There was more Oilers fans in the building than I thought because when he scored,
Yeah.
I was surprised how loud it got in here. But short-lived, that excitement, at least, for a little while.
Yeah, when we walked back up here, we passed the bar near the entrance, and definitely a lot of Oilers jerseys. I think chief among them was Ryan Whitney, who was a row ahead of us.
Yeah.
We were in the aux box.
Interestingly, Whit was there in the aux box with us in the first period, and then wherever he went after the first, because he disappeared. Those guys, I think he was here with Colby Armstrong. Maybe Yandel was there. I'm not sure. They disappeared. I saw Yandel was taking pictures with Ty Gretzky. Who was he with?
Wait, that's Gretzky, somebody from Ned Gretzky?
Yes, it's Ned. Yes, that's Ned Gretzky's son.
Oh.
No, Yandel was with Yager in Yager's box. So maybe Whit was there, and maybe got some luck rubbed off from Yager. I don't know, but I wish he would have stayed because it's 3-0 Panthers while he was here.
Yeah. The Panthers pulled Sergei Bobrovsky for the extra man. About, I would say, 2.5 minutes to go.
Yep.
For whatever reason, Matthew Tkachuk iced the puck, which forced Bob back out there. But on the ensuing possession, once Bobrovsky got back to the bench, with just about 19 seconds to go.
19.5.
19.5 seconds to go. Sam Reinhart, from a bad angle, almost kind of like the Darnell Nurse goal in the second period, but this one was a little bit more wide open.
Yeah.
And from that bad angle, Reinhart was able to score to tie this game with 19 seconds left in regulation.
Man, that was cool. This building went nuts. The roof blew off. It was really fun. I mean, it was like an exciting, anytime you get that build up, it's fun. And it was a great shot by Reinhart. It was a nice little scramble in front of the net. Reinhart found the puck right at the bottom of the left circle, really maybe only a foot or two between him and the goal line. And fortunately, there was such a little scramble in front of the net that Pickard was out of the play. So all he had to do was put the puck in the net.
And in overtime, and this is definitely where one mistake ends the game, and that's pretty much what happened. Leon Draisaitl was able to go in, and I mean, it wasn't even that hard of a shot. I mean, it almost felt like he fanned on it, but he went 5-hole, and Bobrovsky overplayed it, and it went past him, and that's the end of the game as the Panthers lose to the Edmonton Oilers 5-4 in the third overtime of the Stanley Cup Final.
Yeah, Bob did not want to talk about it after the game. Usually he'll give you some kind of an answer, but when somebody asked him, what did you see on that last play, I think he said, it doesn't matter now.
The Edmonton Oilers had Stuart Skinner for one period. And normally he's lights out in game 4s is what everybody's been telling us since yesterday. Like, he is lights out in game 4.
There was a stat that says that Skinner Stewart never loses a game 4. So
yeah, that was the stat.
You know what? He still hasn't.
He still hasn't.
Exactly.
Because he does not have the decision tonight.
Nope, Calvin Pickard.
And also Chris Cody said that whoever scores the first goal wins. And that trend is gone.
Yeah.
We should have won, but no.
Yeah. So there you go. 5-4 is the final here in Sunrise. So Calvin Pickard came in, and he did very, very well. And It was like the entire fortunes changed when Calvin Pickard went in to start the second period.
Well, I don't know if he had much to do with it, considering Florida didn't get a shot on goal for like 11 minutes or whatever it was when the second period started.
Yeah.
But whatever Edmonton did after that first period, whatever was said in that locker room, whether McDavid threw another screaming fit, whether Knobloch had something to say, I don't know. Hyman showed up with something to say. It woke them right up, and they followed arguably their worst period of the series with their best period of the series. And now we got a best of 3 heading back to Edmonton. Florida's been lights out on the road this year. Now they get 2 or 3 on the road. Hopefully that's just 2 more. We don't have to fly to Edmonton twice, but man, it's going to be some good hockey.
Yeah, it's currently 1:26 in the morning on a what day is it? Friday.
Friday.
Yeah, on a Friday morning. By the time I get home, it's going to end up being 2 o'clock.
Yeah,
So that means with a 5:30 flight in the morning, that means 1 hour's sleep. I feel bad for Rose, who has to go further south. Yeah, that's not
and
good.
at
I
some
don't know
point
where
she
South
has
is.
at some point she has to edit all this too. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. No,
goodness
it's
gracious.
from right now until the series is done. I'm not gonna have any sleep. And if we go to 7, I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself. But yeah,
we'll be serenading you with Taylor Swift songs.
no. You better get me to Taylor Swift.
We got you pretty close tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. You were like
You
a
didn't
half
get me.
arena away.
No. She got me because she was there. We
You
didn't
wouldn't
get
have been
even
looking
close.
at her if it wasn't for me.
Um,
Oh my goodness. Okay, fine. All right. It's time for Rosa en un minuto, and that's sponsored by Jägermeister. Serve it cold or don't serve it at all. Jägermeister, damn, that's code. For more, visit Jägermeister.com. Drink responsibly. Rosie, go ahead.
Da-na-na, da-na-na-na-na-na.
Oh, that is loud. Oh my God.
Ok, bueno pues hola hijos, vamos a un minuto de hockey donde el puck no espera y tú tampoco debes hacerlo, menos bla 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 y más puck por favor. Final del Stanley Cup, juego 4, los Edmonton Oilers ganaron 5-4 a las Florida Panthers, empatando la serie 2-2, una remontada que ya es historia. Estaban abajo 3-0 pero tras el primer periodo, 2 goles de Matthew Tkachuk y 1 de Anton Lundell, pero los Oilers se levantaron en masa con goles de Nugent Hopkins, Nurse y Polinsky para empatar. No sé ni los nombres, pero no importa.
I don't know why, but
Jack
it's funny.
Wellman puso a Edmonton al frente en el tercer periodo, pero Reinhardt empató con solo 19.5 segundos por jugar. Y tiempo extra, Leon Dastrail volvió a la carga con un cuarto gol en el tiempo de postemporada para ganar el juego. En portería, Calvin Pickard entró tras el primer tercio y paró 22 de 23 tiros. Rápidos numeritos. Tiros, Edmonton 46, Florida 42. Hits, Florida 60, Edmonton 39. Face-offs, Florida ganó un 54%. Power play, Edmonton 4 oportunidades, Florida 6, pero solo un gol cada uno. Con esta victoria, Edmonton dice presente y devuelve la serie a casa 2-2. La próxima parada, Game 5 en Edmonton este sábado. Esto fue un minuto de hockey con Rose. Tu dosis de semana de puck, pasión y un poquito de caos.
Muy bueno.
Muy buena, I know.
That was very good.
Yeah.
Okay. It's
This
now.
man wants it in English.
All right, it's time for Rose in a Minute, sponsored by Jägermeister. Jägermeister, serve it cold or don't serve it at all.
Okay.
Jägermeister, damn, that's cold. For more, visit Jägermeister.com. Drink responsibly. Rosie, go ahead.
Let's do this. Okay, hi kids, we're back in 1 minute of hockey where the puck doesn't wait and neither should you. Less blah blah, more puck. Stanley Cup
Nice.
Final
Okay.
for Game 4. The
Oh.
Edmonton Oilers took the win 5-4 over the Florida Panthers, trying their series 2-2, a comeback that's already legendary. They were down
God.
3-0 after the first period. 2 goals from Matthew Tkachuk and 1 from Anton Lundell. But the Oilers stormed back with goals from Nugent Hopkins and Nurse and Podolinsky to tie it up. Oh no. Jack Wellman gave Edmonton the lead in the third, but Sam Reinhardt tied it with 19.5 seconds left on the clock. And overtime, Leon Dastrail came through again with his 4th OT of the postseason.
I'm sorry,
Wait,
who was that?
what was that name?
Who was that?
Leon Dastrail Sally.
Leon Draisaitl.
And I'm giving you again.
Draisaitl Wally?
Yeah. In the net, we have Calvin Pickard stepped in after the first period and stopped 22 of 23 shots. Now, really quick, stats. Shots, Edmonton 46, Florida 42. Hits, Florida 60, Edmonton 39. Face off, Florida won 54%. And power plays, Edmonton 4 chances, Florida 6, but just 1 goal each. I don't know if I have that wrong.
No, Florida had 2 power play goals.
2.
You just said Matthew
With
Tkachuk.
this
and
win,
Matthew Tkachuk.
Edmonton says.
Okay.
With this win, Edmonton says we're not going anywhere and send the series back home, tied 2-2. Next up, Game 5 in Edmonton this Saturday. This was 1 minute of hockey with Rose. Your weekly dose of puck, passion, and a bit of chaos.
A bit of what?
Chaos.
Oh, chaos. I thought you said cash.
Yeah, bit of chaos.
I didn't
All right,
get any.
turn that off.
Subtle fades.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
How
what we do. around
about that? So now we're previewing Game 5 because we're going, because we have to go, because the Panthers let us down.
here. Yeah, we would have to have gone anyway.
I know. I just want to scream because I'm
It
tired.
would have been more fun if the Stanley Cup was
Yeah.
possibly being presented tomorrow.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the Cup's not going to be there. The Cup will be in Sunrise for Game 6,
Yes.
but we are not there yet. All right. A little bit of a reminder to everybody that we have merchandise. We have shirts that are being sold on lebatardaf.com. We have Shutdown City shirts, and that did not happen tonight. There was no shutdown. There was no city of shutdown that happened tonight. But
They
we
stayed
are
on the
selling.
wrong side of the tracks tonight.
Yeah, wrong side. Yeah, you gotta get that GPS fixed. We have jerseys that we are selling of our names on it of Jorky, Belly, Rosie, and Butsky. Ethan is not here, and I'm sure you're happy about that. Yeah, we are selling those shirts, and through the end of June, proceeds from the sale of those shirts are going to Rescue Paws, and that organization helps rescue dogs. So help our four-leg friends by buying some shirts.
I thought they were rescuing Panthers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, we can call it quiz.
Nice. Good
Yeah.
one. Good one, Rose.
That's very funny. For those of you who are watching on DraftKings Network, coming up next is Jordan McPherson, the Miami Herald, and Alex Baumgartner of 5 Reasons Sports. We are going to discuss the awards that the Professional Hockey Writers Association voted for and had subsequently released prior to Game 4 tonight. And we will go over what happened in tonight's game. That's coming up next on The Hockey Show. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching and about to listen to the entire Florida chapter of the Professional Hockey Writers Association. Jordan McPherson of the Miami Herald and Alex Baumgartner of 5 Reasons Sports joins David and I. Before we get into the Stanley Cup Final, we will discuss the awards that were given out today, and especially the awards that were voted on by the PHWA. And we're going to start with the Bill Masterton Memorial Trophy, which is Perseverance, Sportsmanship, and Dedication to Hockey, because that's the one award that me and Alex were able to vote on this year, since we are, I guess we're rookies in the in the PHWA. Eh?
I'm a sophomore.
Oh, you're a sophomore.
Maybe
so this is your
sophomore
second year.
slump.
Yeah, hopefully next year you'll be able to vote for more awards. The winner was Sean Monahan of the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I voted for Alexander Ovechkin, obviously, because of dedication to hockey, is trying to break the career goals record. Jordan, who did you go with?
I went with Monahan. I just felt like the overall story, especially with everything that happened with Johnny Gaudreau, we know how close Monahan was with him.
Mm-hmm.
Monahan went to Columbus because of Johnny Gaudreau, and he was the one who carried that legacy for the Blue Jackets this year. Had a fantastic season as well. I think he was over a point per game career year and really stepped up as a leader for that team despite all the hardship. Got them right on the brink of making it to the playoffs. And just seeing everything he did while bearing that weight, bearing that emotion, and having basically a lot of weight from the hockey world on him. It was remarkable to watch how he did, and I felt like for me that was the no-brainer decision.
Alex, who did you go with?
I also went with Monahan. Jordan put it perfectly, just everything that went through that whole season with the whole Blue Jackets organization, and Monahan obviously signing there to play with Johnny. It's just everything that went into that story was just so touching, and I'm happy he won it.
David, who'd you go with?
I went with the sentimental favorite, Gabriel Landeskog. We watched his story, the last few years, but particularly this season, and then just kind of to see the way that it progressed into the playoffs and the way that everybody got behind him. I just loved it. So he was at the top of my ballot.
The Selke Trophy, the winner for Best Defensive Forward went to Alexander Barkov of the Florida Panthers. And now we have reached the trophies that only Jordan and David voted for on this panel. Let's go with the winners. Jordan, who'd you go with?
I went with Sam Reinhart. I mean, Florida's 1-2 punch there, Barkov and Reinhart. They finished first and second. Alexander Barkov finishing first back-to-back years, third time overall. Sam Reinhart, just to me, when you look at the numbers, obviously Alexander Barkov is great. He's one of the best two-way centers, one of the best two-way forwards in the league. But by his standards, by the metrics that you look at, it was a relatively down year. Still great year for Alexander Barkov, no doubt. But Sam Reinhart was far and away his best year defensively. And obviously you see on the PK as well with the 5 shorthanded goals, having some offensive pop on the defensive side. And I also look at the fact that Alexander Barkov missed 15 games this year. Sam Reinhart only missed 2, and that was them taking him out toward the end when they were resting guys. So the time on ice factor played in for me, and when Reinhart was playing without Barkov, his numbers were still either exactly the same or very close to it. So that took out for me the excuse that a lot of people did last year of Reinhart benefiting because he's by Barkov. The two of them are both fantastic, and it makes them that 1-2 punch. And that's why I gave Reinhart the nod over Barkov. Barkov was third on my ballot. He was still up there, but I just felt like Reinhart had the more deserving year this season.
David, who'd you go with?
I had Barkov at the top of my lineup, top of my roster, and I had Reinhart as number 2. For all the reasons that Jordan said, Reinhart, no knock on him at all. I just, for me, it comes down to the eye test. When I see Sasha Barkov, I don't see anybody making the plays that he makes, making the stick checks, the speed, the skill. He just is a 360-degree, 100%, whatever accolade you want to throw on it. He does it all. He blows me away every time I see him, and I just don't see anybody that matches that.
Alex, who would you have gone with?
Obviously, we've seen a lot of Barkov, seen a lot of Reinhart. I would have to look more at the analytics. I knew I didn't have the vote. Eye test, it's Barkov, but the beginning of the season, Reinhart looked like a different animal defensively. He was great last season, but if there was a year for him to win the Selke, I thought it was this year. Not surprised he didn't win. Obviously, people don't watch the Panthers as much as we do. So the stuff we see Reinhart do, we already know Barkov can do it as well. And I was leaning closer to Reinhart this year just because of like Jordan said, the amount of games he played. I thought there were certain times where he took over games defensively, where last year it was him taking over offensively. But it would have been very close, and yeah.
The Calder Trophy is for the best rookie of the season. Lane Hudson ended up winning. He plays for the Montreal Canadiens. It was not Mackie Celebrini like my prediction, but he had a good first half of the season, and it's the San Jose Sharks. What can I tell you? Jordan, who'd you go with?
I went with Lane Hudson. I mean, his numbers were absolutely incredible, and no matter what, the top 4 were going to be in some order.
Yeah.
Lane Hudson, Macklin Celebrini from the Sharks, Dustin Wolf from Calgary, and Matvei Michkov from Philly. It was really just figuring out who that 5th person was, which that's where there was a lot of deviation in the ballot, but the top 4 was the clear top 4. Lane Hudson, to me, just had the edge over Celebrini. Celebrini, fantastic year. He's going to be a great player, just like we saw with Connor Bedard out in Chicago last year. But it just, Lane Hudson had the numbers, had the longevity, had the bigger role, had that big role for Montreal, and also was able to get them into the playoffs. So that also played a factor in there for me.
David, who'd you go with for Calder?
I went with Celebrini. For me, it was just what he was able to accomplish and how good he was able to look on both ends of the ice on a very not great team in San Jose. I think he's going to be a hell of a player in this league. I think the way that he was able to dominate in all 3 zones as a rookie on a team that was lesser than on most nights, it really kind of blew me away a little bit. So that's why I went with Celebrini over Hudson.
Alex, what would have been your pick?
Would have been Hudson, and obviously, as we saw with the votes, Hudson kind of ran away with it. Just a historic defensive season, playing in a very tough market in Montreal. For a defenseman that young to come in and do what he did, it was truly fun to watch, and he's going to have a good career ahead of him.
The Lady Byng Trophy is for gentlemanly conduct while playing at a high level, and that one went to Anze Kopitar. Who'd you pick, Jordan?
I went with Jack Eichel. I mean, my top 3 between Jack Eichel, Nick Suzuki, and Anze Kopitar. To me, I could have gone any of those 3 in any order. I gave Eichel the nod over there, just higher point. The point, basically, the way I really started delineating it, just because there's really no true metric, is looking at points scored versus penalty minutes, and really the guys with the most points with the fewest minutes, all 3 of them were up there. I just ended up deciding at the end going with Eichel right before I turned my ballot in.
David, who'd you go with?
I also went with Jack Eichel. I agree with Jordan that Eichel is just ridiculous on both ends of the ice. He's a lot of fun to watch, and the way that he was able to stay out of the box this year was pretty cool. But I'm going to go on the record and say that I don't think we should be voting for this. I
agree with that.
I think that the NHL officials should vote for this award. I think nobody's better suited to do it than those gentlemen, the officials, the referees, and the linesmen. So I don't know why why we vote for it. But yay, Jack Eichel.
That's an excellent point. That's an absolute excellent point. Alex, who would you have gone with?
It's a good thing I didn't have a vote this year because I'm not going to tell you who I was going to vote for.
Oh, really?
Alex Ovechkin. He was on a few ballots.
Sure.
Sure.
Alex Ovechkin was 5th on my ballot. I did have him number
He
5.
was number 4 on my ballot.
As you guys said, like the lady Bing, we really shouldn't be voting on it. You can't eye test every single player's character on the ice in every single team in every single game. It should probably be an official award.
Yeah, it makes sense. But I guess it's the playing at a high level portion of the trophy is why the writers are voting on it. But yeah, if you're just basing this on penalty minutes, then obviously you go with the officials. But what are you gonna do on that one? So really, is this a career award for Kopitar because his playing career is coming to an end?
I mean, he's been the guy. I mean, he was the Selke guy for a while, so, getting this one is kind of like a nice little notch on his belt. I guess you'd want to have anything on the way out if he is, in fact, on the way out. But I don't know. When I think of Kopitar and awards, I always, even though Barkov's the Selke guy now, I do think of Kopitar as a Selke guy.
The Norris Trophies for Best Defenseman, that one went to Cale Makar of the Colorado Avalanche. That seemed like a obvious choice, I guess. Jordan, was that your pick?
It was my pick, but I will say Zach Werenski on Columbus gave me a lot of thought. I did come down to think about debating putting Werenski 1 just because of how much he had to do himself. I mean, obviously, Cale Makar, there's a lot of support around him, but just the numbers speak for themselves, and it was tough for me to say no to Cale Makar.
David, who's your pick?
It was also Cale Makar. Like, I wanted it to be Zach Werenski. He had an amazing first half of the season and a great season overall. I just thought, as Jordan said, like, Cale Makar was on another planet this year. He is just head and shoulders right now above so many other defensemen in this league. It's not just the way that he can defend and dominate with his stick and with his skating, but his offensive skills are just off the charts. So Cale Makar right now is the cream of the crop right now when it comes to the NHL defensemen.
Alex, who would have been your pick?
Would have been Makar 1, Werenski 2, and then Quinn Hughes 3. I mean, Werenski at the
Are you
beginning.
reading off my ballot?
Yeah, same.
Let me see. Yeah, I was actually copying their ballot. No, I mean, it's all three of those guys had great years, but the numbers on Cale Makar, you just couldn't pass up on it. But
Yeah.
Werenski, at the beginning of the season, he looked like an early favorite, and I had my eye on him for a while.
Yeah. Especially with the way that everything played out in Columbus with,
Right.
Johnny Gaudreau and everything. Like, it was like, that would have been so cool.
The Hart Trophy is for the most valuable player voted by the writers in this situation. That one went to Connor Hellebuck of the Winnipeg Jets, who also won the Vezina Trophy this year. Jordan, who's your pick?
I went with Nikita Kucherov, but I will preface that by saying my top 4, which was Kucherov, in no particular order, between Kucherov, Draisaitl, McKinnon, and Hellebuck. I felt like you could make an argument for any of those 4, and I could go, yeah, that makes sense. But at the end of the day, I went with Nikita Kucherov, Art Ross Trophy winner. Obviously, there wasn't as much of a gap this year as there was the situation last year, which helped with some runaway votes. But just Kucherov, we know how good he is. And I think just because of the fact that we are down here, we see Tampa a little bit more. That probably swayed my decision a little bit, just seeing Kucherov up close. Obviously, this is a regular season award, not a postseason award, because obviously the way Florida was able to shut Kucherov down during the first round of the playoffs, that obviously could have factored in. But regular season-wise, Kucherov was just fantastic this year. But again, any of those top 4 I could have argued for being number 1, but it's just you have to make an order, you have to make a decision, and that's how I went.
David, who's your pick?
I also had Nikita Kucherov at the top of my ballot, and similarly, I have the same top 4 as Jordan, and I could have seen either of them winning. When I just looked at it, I said, if you plug one of them out of each of their lineups, which team is going to be screwed over the most? And aside from the obvious of Connor Hellebuck and a starting goaltender, I just thought, when it came to Draisaitl and even McKinnon, Kucherov was just the driver of that Tampa team so much this season. And as Jordan mentioned, winning the Art Ross Trophy is a huge thing for that team, considering he had so many new teammates this year. They had to make some adjustments, and they still were a really good team, better than they were last year. So I thought Kucherov earned himself the Hart Trophy this year, even though he didn't get it. Overall, in my eyes, he was my guy.
Alex, who would you have picked for the Hart Trophy?
Well, after reading off of David's ballot, so it would have been Kucherov, and I was going to go Kucherov last year as well if I had a vote. Just we see him a lot, as Jordan said, and just the offensive numbers don't lie with him. His ability to take over games. The players thought that was the case, which is why he won. The Lindsay, I would have went Kucherov 1.
All right, so the season All-Star teams, let's start with the first team. At left wing, Kyle Connor of the Jets. At center, Nathan McKinnon of the Avalanche. At right wing, Nikita Kucherov of the Lightning. At defense, Cale McCarr and Zach Werenski.
Hey.
And at goaltender, Connor Hellebuck.
6 for 6.
Yeah, 6 for 6 as well.
Yep, very good, very good. Celebrate. Second
Six in my heart.
Second team, at left wing, Brendan Hagel of Tampa. At center, Leon Draisaitl of the Oilers. At right wing, David Pastrnak of the Bruins. At defense, Victor Hedman of Tampa, Quinn Hughes of Vancouver, and in goal, Andre Vasilevsky of the Lightning. So,
I had 2 misses on there. I went
Same.
with Pastrnak at right wing, and I had Quinn Hughes and Rasmus Dahlin as my 2 defensemen.
I went with Pastrnak as my right wing as well, and I had McDavid as my number 2 center.
you agree with that, Alex?
It sounds good to me.
All right, yeah. So we have some exactos. Greg Cody.
We did all right, Jordan. We did all right.
The all-rookie team for this season.
So
The defenseman, Lane Hudson, who obviously won the Calder Trophy. I mean, it wouldn't make much sense for him not to be on there for the Canadiens. Denton Matejchuk of the Blue Jackets, I believe I pronounced his last. Did I pronounce his last name there?
I'm not even going
Let's
to
go with
try.
that.
Yeah.
Let's just go with
that.
that.
I'm going to go with
Yes.
that. Macklin Celebrini, Cutter Gauthier, and Ativ Michkov are the forwards, and Dustin Wolf are the goaltenders. What do you got, fellas?
Yeah, so basically 5 of those were locks. The 3 forwards, Lane Hudson and Dustin Wolf, those
Yeah.
5 were all locks. It was really just that second defenseman. There wasn't really one tried and true guy that stood out as the number 2. I ended up going with a Drew Hellison from the Anaheim Ducks as my
Yeah,
second
he was a
defenseman.
solid choice.
But I mean, it was just you knew who 5 of the 6 were going to be. It was just a matter of who that 6th spot was going to be.
Yeah. I had Lean Bishop from Dallas as my second defenseman. It's the same as Jordan. Like, it was tough for the second young rookie defenseman, but the top 5 were pretty obvious.
And Alex?
I do like that Bixel pick, and it's not because of the Swiss bias, but I obviously Wolf, Celebrini, Hudson, Michkov, they're going to finish top 4 in the vote, and they're going to get on the all-rookie team.
All right, let's go over the final real quick. We just got out of Game 4. The series is now split at 2 apiece. The Panthers blew a 3-0 lead coming out of the first period. They were able to tie this game up with Sam Reinhart's game-time goal, but Leon Draisaitl ended up scoring the game winner in overtime. So we go to Edmonton for Game 5. Let's go over how the series has gone. In your eyes, Jordan, what do you believe is happening?
I mean, it's just, you can tell, obviously, Game 3 aside, the 6-1 rout by Florida, you can tell these 2 teams are so evenly matched that one mistake, one slip up, one margin of error can really flip a game and in turn flip the series. I mean, you saw Game 1. Florida leads early through 2 periods. Edmonton ties it. Edmonton wins at the very end of the first overtime. Game 2, Florida's leading through 2 periods. Edmonton ties in the 3rd period. Overtime, double overtime, Florida wins. Game 3 was the rout. Game 4, Florida, perfect first period. Edmonton, perfect second period. 3rd period, Florida plays really well at the beginning, and I mean that Bob save on Corey Perry at midway through that kept it tied. That kept it tied 3-3. Fantastic. And then Edmonton scores with the Wallman goal. Sam Reinhart, 19 seconds left or 17 seconds left, however much it was. Yeah. You could just see they find ways to go tit for tat for each other. No one's ever really out of a game until that final whistle blows, or in the case of 3 of the 4 games, until that final goal gets scored in overtime.
Yeah.
Alex, what are you seeing?
I mean, these games have been so close, and when you get to overtime, all the plays goes out the window. It's who gets the bounce, and I think if you look at Game 2, that Marchand goal, he gets the break. That puck goes through the legs on a very tight angle. They go up and they win that game. Tonight, off the rush, Draisaitl gets a not very hard of a shot, gets through Bob. It's once these games get to overtime, that's when it's next bounce wins. Not next goal wins, not next shot. Well, not next shot wins, but next bounce wins.
Yeah.
And other than that routing in Game 3, it's kind of been par for what I expected in this series. Now, I didn't want us going to so many overtimes just for our schedules, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see 2 or 3 more.
Well, the entertainment value is high, so.
Yeah.
Sure.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Game 5 is in Edmonton. That is tomorrow.
as it's
tomorrow.
after midnight. It's tomorrow.
All right, fellas, how's your travel right now? Jordan, how's your travel?
Oh, why I'm so glad that you asked, Mr. Roy Bellamy. I was supposed to have a 6 a.m. flight to Charlotte and then connect and go to Calgary, land in Calgary about 12:30, and then drive up. But right as the game ended, we go down the elevator for post-game. My flight to Charlotte got canceled. So I got rebooked on a 7 a.m. flight to Dallas, where I will be spending 10 hours in the Dallas-Fort Worth airport before getting to Calgary at about 9:30 p.m. local time. So I'll be getting to Edmonton probably around midnight, 12:30 on 12:30 Friday going into Saturday.
Oh, no.
And this is still, let me just preface this is still only the second worst travel situation for me there, Edmonton.
God.
If you haven't heard my story about Game 6 last year, there's a story on the Miami Herald website about it. I'll let you guys be the ones who read over that.
Yeah, we can share that if anybody needs it. Just reach out to Roy and I, and we can share Jordan's misery from last year. I mean, it was miserable in the moment, but I mean, he had some.
It came out to be a good story, but I was hoping not to have stuff like that happen again. Anyway, the rest of you guys.
Yeah, Alex, you said that you were going up for 3-1 only. It's split at 2. Are you going?
I had to cancel the flights and the hotels right after the game. Fortunately, I have to be in the newsroom tomorrow since it's 2-2. But if it goes 7, I'll be there.
All right. David, how's your travel?
I'm flying down to Fort Lauderdale like 7:30 in the morning. Got about 90-minute layover in Denver, and then I'll see you at dinner tomorrow night in Edmonton.
Rosie and I are flying out of Miami at 5:30 in the morning. It is going to be
I've got a 6-hour.
disaster.
How are you not on the road yet?
Because we're here.
We're here. We got jobs to do right now, but as soon as this thing is over, going straight home.
Assuming we haven't gotten locked on the roof of the arena.
Yeah. Hopefully that door's not locked.
What are we doing on the roof of the arena, by the way? Like, we haven't even acknowledged the fact that we are sitting on.
It's the pretty shot behind us. That's what it is.
Yeah.
All right, folks. That is the hockey show for this week. My name is Roy Bellamy. That's David Droig. Thank you to Jordan McPherson of the Miami Herald and Alex Baumgartner of 5 Reasons Sports. We are flying up to Edmonton for Game 5, and that's when you will hear from us next for post-game. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Have a good weekend.